The J-League returns from the international break with a Friday night fixture under the lights at YODOKO Sakura Stadium. Welcome along. Cerezo Osaka and Urawa Reds are two clubs with big expectations who both begin in the bottom four after difficult starts to the season. Adding to the pressure and importance of tonight as they aim to kick-start their campaigns. There's just 1 point between the teams at present. Cerezo starting in the early season relegation zone after the first 6 games of the season. The Red Diamonds, the team directly above them, and the side in their sights in every respect tonight. So first J1 start of the season for Keihei Noborizato, with 2 appearances off the bench on his return from injury, bringing up 300 appearances in this division. Second season at the club for the former Frontale fullback. Big occasion for him tonight in every sense. He worked his way back to full match fitness and did start for the first time in any competition this season in the Levain Cup victory just 8 days ago. 5-1 win against third-tier opposition in the first round of that competition. Well, Cerezo actually started the season in style with a 5-2 derby success at Osaka, but they haven't won a league game since then. Urawa have been showing signs of improvement after taking only 2 points from their first 4 matches. They got their first win of the campaign against Fagiano Okayama a couple of games ago and backed it up with a hard-earned point at the leaders, Kashima Antlers, last time out. Denied back-to-back victories only by the concession of a 90th minute equalizer. He will certainly hope that his side are going in the right direction recently, but still with plenty of work to do. Cerezo Osaka ring the changes from their last league game, 5 of them from the 2-0 defeat at Yokohama before the international break, notably in goal, where Koki Fukui comes in to make his debut for the club after signing for this season from Machida Zelvia. Veteran Kim Jin-hyun drops to the bench. 3 of the back 4 change as well, including a first league start of the season for Noborizato after a hamstring injury. Okada and Shindo start as well, as does Thiago Andrade in an all-Brazilian front 3 as Hinata Kida makes way to the bench. This is much closer to the side that started the 5-1 win at Kamatamare Sanuki in the first round of the J-League Cup 8 days ago. Just 2 changes from that team today. Takafumi Mikuriya is tonight's referee, taking charge of his 5th game of this J1 season. He was also in the middle for Sanfrecce's Super Cup success over Vissel Kobe at the start of the campaign. Koji Takaseki heads up the VAR team this evening. In contrast to their opponents, Urawa Reds have named an unchanged starting lineup. This is the same side that began their 1-1 draw at leaders Kashima Antlers nearly 2 weeks ago, and the win over Fagiano Okayama the previous week. Indeed, 8 of the 11 have started every game under MEIJI Yasuda so far this season, as the Polish coach sticks with a settled side. Taishi Matsumoto got their goal against the Antlers last time out, his first of the season. Last year's top scorer, Thiago Santana, again leads the way so far this term with 3 in his first 6 games. Ogiwara and Kaneko were playing in Europe last year. Both have settled straight into this Reds team as regulars since their return to Japan. First season in charge for Arthur Papas, the Australian, at the helm for Cerezo Osaka. Second season of his second spell for Matchweek, who returned midway through last season, the coach who led them to Champions League glory a couple of years ago. Seemed like a little way off right now for Urawa Reds. Had success in that continental competition, booking their spot at the upcoming FIFA Club World Cup a little later in the summer. Now, hoping to make ground in the J-League prior to their commitments in that competition in the US in the summer. Well, 2 storied sides who've struggled somewhat at the start of this new season. They are not yet near where they expect to be, given the quality of which they are clearly capable. Cerezo Osaka and Urawa Reds were 2 of the original 8 founding members of the Old Japan Soccer League back in 1965. They've been no strangers to silverware since then. Cerezo 4 times Emperor's Cup winners. Urawa champions of Asia on 3 occasions. And the game off and underway in Osaka tonight. Urawa in their chain strip in the black. Comes the familiar cherry blossoms, who look to start strongly here and launch the game's first attack. There was the opportunity for them potentially to do so through the middle. Scoring goals has not been an issue for Cerezo this season. Keeping them out at the other end has. The opposite problem really to Urawa, who have been tight enough defensively, who have scored just 4 goals through their first 6 fixtures. 3 of them from Thiago Santana. So, although both clubs have endured to an extent similar starts to the season, they've done so in very different fashion, really. The end results have been similar. So it will be fascinating to see how this one pans out this evening. First fixture of the J1 weekend. Cerezo did have that League Cup game 8 days ago. Urawa Reds not involved until the quarter-finals of that competition because of their aforementioned Club World Cup commitments. It's a good ball, picking out Lucas Fernandez. He couldn't quite force his way through. Okawara did well. Time on the ball for those in those familiar pink shirts. Thiago Andrada, the furthest forward. Time to look up and pick the pass for the opening goal. Rafael Retao applies the finishing touch inside the opening 2 minutes. One Brazilian to another, in behind the Reds' defence. And Cerezo in front already. Second goal for the club, for their new number 9. Had he stayed onside, he had. Thiago Andrada looking at that. Able to take it down on the chest, look up and pick the pass. And ensure that the finish that followed from Rafael Retao was a straightforward one. All sorts of space from right in front of goal. Super start for Cerezo. Thiago Andrada making only his second start for the club in the J-League. After 4 years in Major League Soccer with NYCFC. He was a goal scorer last week in the League Cup. He's turned provider here for his compatriot. Rafael Retao on loan from Bahia. 3-time title winner in Slovakia with Slovan Bratislava. Scores his second Cerezo goal, having opened his account at Albirex Niigata at the start of the month. He was also on target last week in the League Cup. So over to Urawa to try and respond. That side who struggled significantly on their travels more recently. Haven't won in the last 8 games away from home in J1. And they're rattled here with the Reds. As Thiago Andrada tries to pick his way through. As he's managed to do once already. Performance wasn't convincing either and still has to be dealt with again. Away this time by Samuel Gustafsson, asking Thiago to chase it down.
Come on guys, come on!
And the Reds caught cold right at the start. Retao has hit the ground running at the start of his Cerezo Osaka career. That certainly applies collectively to his team today. Only the leaders, Kashima Antlers, have scored more goals than Cerezo this season in J1, despite the fact that they begin in the bottom 3. Because only the bottom club, Nagoya Grampus, have conceded more goals than the Cherry Blossoms so far this term. Their matches have contained more goals than any other side this season. And this one has started in similar fashion, hasn't it? Bit of space here for Ogiwara. Got 3 in front of him to try and pick it out in the penalty area. He'll come all the way through here for Kaneko. He returns it menacingly as well. Openings at either end in the first 5 minutes. And the Reds showing that they certainly have the attacking qualities capable of mounting a response, despite their lack of goals so far this season. Wasn't a bad ball in at all, was it, from Kaneko here? Just needed the touch, and well, Matsumoto, who did score against Kashima last time, was the closest to applying it, but couldn't quite get the contact required when in a promising position. There's Mateus Savio, one of the many Brazilians on show today. He's been a regular in Japanese football over the last 6 years at Kashiwa Reysol before switching to Saitama for this season. Started every game since then. Kaneko. Back in Japan this year after a spell in Belgium with Kortrijk. Before that, he was on loan at Dinamo Zagreb from Consadole Sapporo. A really successful first half of the 2023 season, which earned him his move to Europe. And Ogiwara, the left-back, playing in Europe even more recently with Dinamo Zagreb, for whom he was a scorer actually in the Champions League in the league phase of that competition against Bayern, albeit in a 9-2 defeat earlier in the season. There goes Kaneko again. And that's comfortable for the keeper when it came his way from Sekine. Worth mentioning the goalkeeper Koki Fukui, who's only ever played twice in J1 before tonight. It's his Cerezo debut. Those couple of appearances in the top flight came last season with Machida Zelvia, for whom he was the backup goalkeeper. He's been on the bench for all 6 Cerezo games so far this season in this division as well, before getting his opportunity tonight. Coming in ahead of the veteran and the regular starter for a number of seasons now, Kim Jin-hyun. He's played over 600 games for the club across 17 years and has been the regular again at the start of this year, but begins on the bench tonight. Sekine asking Kaneko to chase it. And back to Fukui. Certain spotlight on him in the circumstances. See how he gets on. 8 years he had at Machida Zelvia. Most of those, of course, in the lower division. At the other end, a vastly experienced Nishikawa is forced to come and clear. Now needs to hurry back again. The Borizato trying to pick up the pieces, although the flag is up on the far side. Slowed down when the goal went in, but on that occasion Rafael Ratal was the one in the offside spot. And here's the one also on the score sheet already. His early goal, the difference tonight. And an early goal could make such a difference tonight. Cerezo look for their first home win of the season. One of 5 teams yet to win in front of their own fans this year, but this is only their 3rd home fixture of 2025. 1 point so far from the previous 2. Thiago the target. And he's going to be penalised for that as he challenged for it. Making his presence felt a little too literally up against Hatanaka. One of the new signings for Cerezo, the centre-back, after 7 years with Yokohama F. Marinos. Head to that first before the contact came from Thiago Santana. No doubt that he will be the goal threat for Urawa, though. He was their 12-goal top scorer last season. He's reached double figures now in front of goal in each of his last 4 years in Japan. 3 of those with Shimazu Esports. He's the top scorer actually in the division the season that they were relegated. Lucas Fernandez. And again. Andrade was the target, did well to reach it, guided it into dangerous territory. 20 back in black, but they will still be relieved to hear the referee's whistle. And win the free kick here, get the chance to clear the lines. Just being blocked off. Right in front of the referee, that one. Third straight start for Takuro Kaneko, who's featured in every game since returning from Belgian football. Borisato, those 15 years with Kawasaki Frontale, for whom the majority of his 300 J-League appearances have come for. That one slipped through threateningly where the goalkeeper needed to come and needs to hurry back again now. It's a really decent attempt that was always just and only just clearing the crossbar from Okuda. Fullback fancied it. Ishikawa had been forced into evasive action here to deny Rafael Retao. He got his foot to it first with the Brazilian centre forward, but the goalkeeper out of his area was able to make the save. There would have been nothing he could have done, and that dropped the other side of the bar. Now, there was the defender on the line. His presence ultimately wasn't required, but it was close from Okuda on the follow-up. Certainly seen enough of Cerezo in the opening exchanges to believe that Scorsa's side are vulnerable at the back. A little uncharacteristically, really. Defensive resilience with which they impressed in his first spell in charge. Forged his reputation in this league. Centre-backs combine. Danilo Boza and Marius Højbråten at the back. And Nishikawa, who heavily involved already. That where he didn't necessarily want it. With work to do. Thiago Andrade. Well, we have not settled yet defensively. Have options on the counter here, though. This is Kaneko. Sui gave it to him and continued his run, but instead he'll switch it infield. Matteo Savio had a go and wasn't too far away. He'll chalk that one down as a range setter. Still looking for his first goal for the club. Scored 9 times for Kashiwa Reysol in this division last season. Kui in goal, always confident that he wasn't going to be required, though. That was clearing the angle of post and bar. Here's Savio again. Went back well, Rafael Retao. An underwhelming season Urawa last year, of course, and finishing down in 13th position in 2024. 4 points and 3 places actually behind Cerezo Osaka and the top half of the table. Much more expected this year under Scorza, who returned last summer, replacing his replacement, Per-Mathias Højbjerg. Originally taken the decision to leave at the end of the previous year. So let's see what Gustafsson was trying there, but it just skipped away from Ogiwara. He started for Dinamo Zagreb in the UEFA Champions League earlier in their season. And they forced the corner here. To see if Matheus Savio. Nice footwork from him. Opportunity to bring the likes of Boza and Hoybratton up from the back. On a posse of potential targets. Thiago's always one of those. Savio, having won the corner, is the one who will take it. As the Reds look for their response. Into an awkward area. And scrambled clear. Hatanaka grateful for the chance to be able to do that. Still the danger maybe. Can bring it clear. Cerezo with Thiago Andrade. A little behind Rafael Ratau. Lucas Fernandez. By Okuda. Gathered up by Nishikawa. Cerezo turning defence into attack pretty swiftly. One vastly experienced goalkeeper being left on the bench today. Nishikawa is certainly another 12th season now with Urawa since he signed from Sanfrecce. From the ball again, under pressure. 631st J-League appearance for him tonight. At the age of 38, player who was capped 31 times by Japan. Thiago will keep that in tight to the touchline, but not for long, as Hatanaka steps in. First game since the international break, as I mentioned, and a successful international break it was as well for Japan, becoming the first nation from outside the host to qualify for next year's World Cup. With 3 games to spare after they beat Bahrain by 2-0 to book their spot next summer in North America. The draw that followed against Saudi Arabia wasn't particularly costly because of that. So they can start plotting for next year. So Urawa Reds try and plot away through the massed ranks here in pink. Space for Matsumoto. Much space in the middle though, and that's horribly overhit by Yasui behind. This is how close they came from the corner a little earlier. Sekine on the stretch. He's trying to make something of it. Just missed it, really. Options here for the Cherry Blossoms. Rafael Ratau able to bring it down and get his shot away. And it wasn't far away. In search of his and his side second already. Certainly looks a threat up front. That's the focal point of the side. Just touch to bring it under his spell. He had Nishikawa worried as well, the way he flung himself towards it, but in the end didn't need to reach it. A warning shot served by Cerezo. Forward here by Sekine. Tanaka. Bordazato. Andrade. There's Kitano. Hasn't missed a minute of their J-League season so far. So no surprise maybe that he was one of those with a breather on the bench last week in the League Cup against the J3 opposition. Kamatamare Sanuki. turned on the style in that game, winning by 5-1, hoping to build on it tonight as Alpha Papas calls for consistency in the level of performance in his first season in charge. That they won as part of a cup double in 2017. So 4-time Empress Cup winners as well. Savio, two sides who didn't expect to be where they are at this stage of the season. The respective ambitions and expectations that they shoulder. Urawa Osaka. I barely believe that they've not won a game since then in this division. Damaging 2-0 defeat at Yokohama in their last league game as well, in which they had over 60% possession but managed just 2 shots on target. So they started much stronger today, but under pressure at the moment. Mateus Savio comes back his way. Floats it in threateningly, where Thiago will scamper after that to try and pick up the pieces. Rafael Ratao's gone with him, back doing his defensive duties. There's Høybråten. Calico settling into a little more possession now, aren't they, Urawa Reds? Dusting themselves down after the disappointing way in which they began the game. They've maybe started to find a foothold as we reach the midway point of this first half. Second A delivers first time and almost caught out the keeper. It again just cleared the crossbar, but it had Fukui worried for a moment. Not necessarily exactly what Takehiro Sekine was intending. It was an awkward one for the goalkeeper when that left the boot of the fullback. So midway point, as I mentioned, of the first half, and with Thiago Andrade down, Urawa Reds with some reorganising to do on the touchline. For Papas hoping that he won't have to make a change here for the home team, because Thiago's been excellent, hasn't he, so far? Provider of the only goal and a constant threat down the left. It does look a little worrying for him here. He was actually selected by San Diego, the new MLS side in the expansion draft, and traded to Toronto, but chose to make the move to Japan instead for this season. See him there just going down off the ball. Did have spells on loan from New York City FC, back in Brazil actually in 2023 with Atletico Paranense. They didn't take up the option to sign him permanently. He was in China briefly as well with Shenzhen City. His goal last week in the League Cup was his first since the summer of last year in the Chinese Super League. But the manner in which he went down and the time now that he has been down suggests that this could be potentially the end of his evening. Which would be a significant setback for Cerezo, given the part that he's played already, the impact that he's had. Did beautifully to bring it down and set up Rafael Ratao for what was effectively really a tap-in for him. Patient to force his way into the starting lineup. Only the second time this season in J1 that he had begun a game, but his evening does end early. That change is having to happen here. Masaya Shibayama will be rapidly summoned as a substitute. So well, but he's filled pretty frequently this season off the bench for the 4th time. He too, like Thiago Andrade, had only started one previous game in the league this season. It's his 3rd year at the club since joining from Omiya Adia. Did start the defeat at Cerezo last month, but not since. Off the bench 22 times last season. On for the majority tonight. So we'll hope that it's nothing too long-term for Thiago Andrade. The start of a pretty hectic sequence of the season with a full midweek round of fixtures to come next week. Gawara up against Lucas Fernandez here. A year on loan in Croatia, Takuya Ogawara, before returning for this year. Again, have had the majority of the possession, as was the case in the last couple of games. As the way that they like to play, really, under Scorcher. It hasn't translated yet in front of goal. Field attack. Trying to find Shibayama, but it wasn't precise enough. It was cut out by Kaneko. It's notable that when Sekine is getting forward from fullback, as he does fairly frequently, Kaneko is covering for him. Samoa having lost that appeal for the free kick, not forthcoming. Shibayama then goes down. The referee had a look. He's content to let it continue. VAR, I think, will currently be having a look at that as well. Koji Takaseki tonight in the booth. In the meantime, it's with Gustafsson. Wider for Kaneko. Looking on the Borozzato. With support from Sekine. Followed by Hatanaka. Here's Højbråten. Gustafsson takes over as the Scandinavians combine for the side from Saitama. Sekine, he still hasn't gone out of play since that possible penalty appeal, by the way, which may yet still be revisited. Højbråten. Ogawara. Trying to squeeze in the cross towards Thiago. And that was late. And that was unnecessary, really, on the touchline. Fernandez, who was caught by Ogawara, nowhere near the ball. Already seen one Brazilian-wide player go off through injury in this first half. So Cerezo will be relieved to see Lucas Fernandez straight back on his feet again. Tanaka. Shibayama was trying to hold that run. He's just been took by Sekine, but it will keep the pressure on the Urawa captain and force Takahiro Sekine into evasive action. Still look a real threat in the final third, don't they, Cerezo? In search of a second goal. Centre-back Shindo and Hatanaka both brought up for the corner. Tanaka will be a target as well. Nakajima who's going to take it. Into a packed penalty area. Deeper delivery. Shindo is the one who reaches it though and returns it. Come back for Nakajima to try again maybe. Shibayama's cross blocks. Lucas Fernandez. Still plenty ahead of him. Here's Tanaka. Back to Lucas Fernandez. Sunta Tanaka. That's clever. That's really well worked. They just can't quite apply the touch to it. Kitano was the closest. Flinging out his foot there and just unable to reach it. They're being played on, I think, by possibly Kaneko. Yusuke Shindo just tried to square it across the face of goal. Nearly for Kitano, who thumps the post in frustration. He is their top scorer this season. Indeed, he's the second top scorer in J1 this year. So to Kitano with 4. Only the former Cerezo striker, Leo Ciara, has more. Kitano nearly had another one. His 4 goals already, double his total from the whole of last season. Touch for Gustafsson, back to Høybråten. Appearance number 99 in all competitions for Urawa Reds, for Marius Høybråten tonight. Cerezo pressing high, as they've done all game. Very little time on the ball for anybody defensively for Urawa. And it has induced a little bit of panic on occasion, but now this is the flip side. When they can beat the press, there will be space up the other end. Gustafsson nearly got it back again. Savio was trying to return it to him. Lucas Fernandez will lead the charge for Cerezo instead. Again, continues to be stretched. He is caught. Out comes the yellow card. Savio bringing down his fellow Brazilian. They've been heavily involved at the other end. That little flick didn't quite come off for him, so he set off in pursuit to try and win the ball back. It's actually cost him the caution. First of the game. Confirmation of that yellow card. Shindo to Hatanaka. Maborizato asking Shibayama to chase it. Puts the pressure on Sekine. Not for the first time tonight. Second spell at the club for the captain, Takehiro Sekine. 7th season of it. The Saitama-born player who left for German football with Ingolstadt. Skipper for this season, with over 200 appearances in this division to his name. Tanaka, the Cerezo Osaka captain. Shibayama in space. Well, when he did deliver, it was dealt with, but the space that he is finding, the same sort of space that Thiago Andrade was finding in that position before he went off through injury, will be of a real concern to Maciej Skorsa and his side. It's where the goal came from. It's where the threat has remained, really, since then. And the corner to come. Nakajima to take it. In fact, it will be left this time for Lucas Fernandez. I think he's going to leave the throw for Noborizato. Now Shibayama. Forcing another corner, keeping the pressure on. He's slotted in pretty seamlessly, hasn't he, since that injury interruption that they suffered. Certainly will send Cerezo that they need a second yet to keep a clean sheet this season, as Lucas Fernandez takes the corner. Was there to be struck. Up from the back was Hatanaka trying to react to it, but he might have to hurry back here because his side a little short now at the other end. Thiago. It's a good way to pass for Matsumoto. Well, they've got players in the penalty area, but equally Cerezo with bodies back as well to deal with that. Matsumoto will keep it in though. Here's Gustafsson back for Høybråten as those two combine once more. Looked in towards Thiago, and Shindo taking no chances with the concession of the corner. Just underlines the fragility of their lead though, and why they are likely to need the second. No clean sheet in their last 8 J1 matches going back to last year. And a victory over Avispa Fukuoka in early November, the last time they stopped the opposition scoring in J1. Mateus Savio will take the corner. Shindo, who met it, still work to do to get it clear though. They will settle for that in the circumstances. It's a fixture that Cerezo have had the better of more recently. They've won the last 3 meetings between the clubs. They did the double over the Reds last year. Particularly here in Osaka, Urawa have struggled. Haven't won any of their last 8 visits in all competitions, losing the last 5 J-League meetings between the clubs here. Briefly losing the ball was Cerezo there on halfway, but Shindo was able to recover the situation. Touch for Kitano and for Tanaka. There's the captain, Shunta Tanaka again, former Consadole player. His 1 cap for Japan came all the way back actually in 2019 whilst he was still at university. Always been a very highly rated prospect, Shunta Tanaka. Can operate in the centre of defence as well. He's been playing a more defensive midfield role for Cerezo, the start of his 2nd season at the club. Should now really be at the peak of his powers. And he started this season as a key performer for Cerezo, who spread it wide for Shibayama. Morizato joining in. Here's Nakajima. Slightly deeper role for him today. Has played further forward on occasion this season. Forced his way into this side, having spent the last 3 years at the club out on loan at Vegalta Sendai in J2. Starting a 5th successive J1 game for the Cherry Blossoms tonight is Nakajima. Started to suspect that his chance wasn't going to come with Cerezo, but his patience rewarded this year. A couple of goals as well as he's seized his chance when it was afforded to him. There's Noborizato. They strong in the challenge. It moves back briefly for them. Sui couldn't quite take advantage. With a smile on his face again now that he's fit again. Noborizato, hamstring problems that interrupted his 1st year at the club last season as well, and sidelined him at the start of this one. Off the bench in the last 2 league games before starting tonight. Final 5 of the first half. Savio gets it back for Urawa in dangerous territory, and it cannons away off Naborizade for the corner. The Red Diamonds looking to change the mood heading into half-time at YODOKO Sakura Stadium. Well, the home fans have been enjoying themselves so far. Now they haven't built on the early lead. They've been infrequently threatened at the other end. Savio to take the corner. Come back to him from Kaneko. Looking for Gustafsson. Injured red by Nakajima. Savio will try again for Scorcher's side. Who knows what a difference an equalizer at this juncture would make. Not as far as Thiago, who's always stretching to try and reach that, and because of that, he's conceded the free kick. Real complaints from him. Just reaching it first, which is why the referee stepped in when he did. Very much the focal point of this side, although Urawa were close to bringing in a new centre-forward in the transfer window, which closed in Japan just this week. It was deadline day on Wednesday. And Maciej Skorca was hopeful, actually, of signing Cenk Tosun, the Turkish international, former Everton striker from Fenerbahce. It's reportedly close, but Jose Mourinho, the Fenerbahce boss, stepped in to pull the plug on the deal at the last minute because Edin Dzeko got injured. Another of the Turkish club strikers, so Cenk Tosun was required after all by Mourinho. And that one fell through. So it will be Thiago Santana that shoulders that responsibility in the first half of the season at least. Transfer window now closed until the 7th of July in Japan. It's notable, actually, that Urawa let a couple of fringe players leave on the deadline day. One of them, Shion Homa, to Cerezo Osaka, not involved tonight, but he's joined on loan for the rest of the season. There's Kaneko. Now we're finishing the half strongly, but that's comfortably cut out and cleared by Hatanaka. Naoki Maeda was the other player who left Urawa in the week. He signed on a permanent deal for Sanfrecce. Neither of those two were getting regular minutes this season, though. Pulled down beautifully by Mateo Savio, which opens up the space for the cross. Can't quite capitalise on it. Iwara keeps it in fast side. Lucas Fernandez with him in a role reversal between those two. Yasui. Savio was his target, but it's a comfortable claim for Koki Fukui, who's been relatively untroubled, hasn't he, on his debut for the club so far. There's Kitano. Lucas Fernandez further forward. Kitano had continued his run. Skips into some space, opens up for the shot. That was close. So Kitano is in the mood in front of goal so far this season. Going in search of his 5th goal of the campaign already. Despite the fact that Urawa had plenty back defending that, they still stood off him to a certain extent. Afforded in that sight of goal. One thought on his mind, really, as he looked to bend it around the goalkeeper and the other side of the post. Close. On the charge here is Shibayama, as we go into 3 additional minutes at the end of the first half. Cleared away by Nishikawa for Thiago. Assistant referee on this near side who was flagging for that. Yeah, frustration of Thiago Santana. Shibayama. Got it back from Rafael Ratao. His early goal is still the difference. The major moment thus far came early. Shindo forward. Here's Ogiwara. Into dangerous territory, had Thiago in the middle. Trying to find him, cross cut out by Hatanaka. Did well there, the centre-back. As indeed did Takuya Ogiwara, and leading the charge at the other end. Has to get forward from fullback, as we've seen frequently in this first half. Second eight, whom the same applies on the other side. Here's Kaneko. Mateo Savio reaching it first. He's the one really that has been given the license to roam and try and create in the final third. And therefore Hazlitt the most likely to do so for Urawa. Zato content to let that go. And Cerezo are very close to taking their lead into half-time now. It all started at the other end when Ogiwara just reached the ball first ahead of Lucas Fernandez and continued that charge. It was a useful ball aimed in towards Thiago that had to be dealt with and was by Hatanaka. Ratao, forward for Kitano. Shibayama is on the end of that. Shibayama has a go. Ishikawa makes the save. Turned it away from trouble. Now the flag's gone up on the far side of the field anyway. Cerezo in search of a second to take into the second half. And he was just, I think, and only just offside looking at that. Struck with power, so Nishikawa decided he couldn't try and hold it, but he was able to turn it away from immediate danger before being spared by the flag anyway. And that's half-time. So Cerezo taking charge early. Rafael Ratao on target with his second goal in J1 since signing for the club on loan from Bahia inside the first 2 minutes of the match. It took Urawa a little while to clear their heads after that concession. They have threatened a response since then without quite being able to find it. Cerezo themselves with further opportunities of their own have been relatively comfortable up to this juncture. But such have been their defensive issues this season, they will certainly still sense they need a second goal as they look for their first home win of the season. But as the teams head for the tunnel at the break, it is so far so good for the Cherry Blossoms. Rafael Ratao's goal is the difference at the interval. Half-time here, Cerezo Osaka 1, Urawa Reds 0.
2025シーズンの頂点に立つのはどのチームだ。明治安田 J リーグ選手がワールドを出そう。
さあ、ここでハーフタイムライン抽選会のお知らせです。今から予選にサイン入りフォームが1名様に当たるハーフタイムライン抽選会を実施します。方法はとっても簡単です。セレッソ大阪公式 LINE に特定のキーワードを送ると、その場で当選が分かるという抽選会です。気になる本日のキーワードはこちら、金税です。さあ皆さん、セレッソ大阪公式 LINE のオフ画面に金税と入れるだけで抽選に参加できます。ご参加お待ちしています。
いきなりパリピな感じにしちゃって大丈夫かなと思ったんですけど、皆さん盛り上がってくれたんでありがとうございます。DJ やらせていただいて本当ありがとうございます。ありがとうございます。
皆さんノリノリですよ。
ありがとうございます。
さあ、今日は実際にこちらのスタジアムで前半ご覧になったということですけれども、いかがでしたか。
ハント選手、やってくれましたね。素晴らしいゴールでした本当に。
開始早々、めちゃくちゃどうでしたか。ゴール決まった瞬間盛り上がりました。
ヘーでしたよ本当に。今日は行くなと思いましたもう。はい。
みんななりましたよ。
なりましたね。はい。
DJ コウさんは2016年のファン感謝デー以来のこちらにお越しいただいたということで、
9年前になるんですけど、ファン感謝デーで、もう夜遅くなさんに来させていただきました。お久しぶりです。ありがとうございます。ありがとうございます。
どうでしょう、改めてこのYODOKO SAKURAスタジアム。
やっぱり活気がありますね。この熱気とこの空の下でというのがね、気持ちいいですね、本当に。はい。
その中で素晴らしいパフォーマンスを教えていただきました。ここから後半が始まっていきますけれども、改めて最後選手たちに熱い応援メッセージ一言お願いします。
はい。今日はもうセレッソ大阪勝利トゥデイ。
ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございました。
それでは皆さん、DJ コウさんです。
ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございました。
ありがとうございます。
Almost set for the start of the second half then. Cerezo Osaka leading Urawa Reds by a goal to nil at YODOKO Sakura Stadium, and on course as it stands to swap places with them in the lower reaches of the table. We are going to see a half-time change here. Matsuo is on for Matsumoto for the Reds. Scorza not satisfied with that first half showing, in which of course they fell behind just 2 minutes in. So Yusuke Matsuo is summoned for the sixth time in 7 at the start of this J1 season. He's yet to start a league game this season, but he has featured in all but one of them. His second campaign back at the club after a loan spell with Westerlo in Belgium. And in place of Matsumoto, who was their goal scorer in the previous game against Kashima Antlers, but really struggled to impose himself in this particular contest, a player who did once have a loan spell with Cerezo. So he doesn't reappear for the second half, and Matsuo is on. Reminder that Cerezo were forced into a change of their own in the first half when Thiago Andrada, who made the early goal, went off through injury. So off and underway for the second period then. Urawa Reds in their changed colours in the black from right to left in this second period are the ones with work to do. Looking to extend an unbeaten sequence to 3 games after suffering back-to-back defeats prior to that, but still in search of their first away win of the season. And it picks up really how the first half left off, with Thiago Santana in the thick of things, but more often than not on the wrong end of the refereeing decisions. Chances have been at a premium for the Reds' top scorer, but it might open up for Cerezo. At the other end it did, and it wasn't too far away. Kitano with another glimpse of goal, and he's been afforded a few as the Cherry Blossoms' top scorer. That one wasn't quite as close as a couple that we saw from him in the first half. Just didn't quite wrap his boot around the ball as he was intending to do. So this time it was always moving away from that far post. Further concern for Urawa at the positions that Sota Kitano is taking up, and that Cerezo are finding him in. He's back on the ball here. Impressive start to his season as Kitano in a side that otherwise has struggled somewhat. It's certainly been one of the standouts for them. So Lucas Fernandez runs out of room on that occasion. Never scored more than twice in a season, actually, Kitano, until beginning this campaign with 4 goals already, which came in the 1-1 draw against Nagoya Grampus earlier in the month. confident they are to win the ball back, those in pink in that part of the pitch. Lucas Fernandez forward. A really good intensity about Cerezo's play for most of the match, but they have lost it in potentially dangerous territory here. Covered good ground. And Yasui. To link with Matsuo, whose first involvement was potentially a notable one. He stayed down actually at the end of it. Thiago involved as well. So he threaded that one through, and Matsuo trying to make a difference almost straight away after his introduction at the interval. He was just about able to get back to him, which made that more difficult. Wasn't able to profit and hurt in the process. A player who scored 4 times last season in his first campaign back at the club after that loan spell with Westerlo. 1-0 was enough for Cerezo when they last met, late last season in October. Here we go from the now departed Hirotaka Tamada. He's in signed for Jubilo Owata. He scored the winner in the first half of that game. Cerezo 2-1 winners when they last met here, back in June of last year. Lucas Fernandez and Hayato Okuda, both starters today, were both scorers on that occasion. 3 straight wins against Urawa coming into tonight for the Cherry Blossoms. Really for Kitano, in fact it does come his way. This is Rafael Ratao, and that should have been 2-0, although the flag has gone up. And he might be a little bit relieved about that in the end, Rafael Ratao having failed to find the finish. This goal still the difference today. This was another big chance for him, and he was just offside. So it wouldn't have counted anyway. Underlining some of the risks that the Reds are still taking at the back. Gawara can't quite control that one. It's only 1 win in their last 13 away games in J1, dating back to the victory at Nagoya Grand Prix last June. Their only win since then, actually, away from home, came in Osaka against Gamba, Cerezo's rivals, in Suita to be more precise. They haven't scored more than once, Urawa, in any of their last 9 away games in the J-League. Cerezo going in search of their second again, as they are starting to do more frequently now. At the start of this second half, but the ball in from Lucas Fernandez was comfortably dealt with. Yasui. Gustafsson. For Kaneko. Instead it's Mateus Savio beyond him, who was able to bring it down. Now Matsuo. Mateus Savio again. Kaneko does get involved this time. Mateus once more. Comfortably cleared away. And are going to have to find a little more in attack there to force their way back into this game. Have the players capable? Collectively, they've not quite clicked yet. It's been the case really all season long. Starting to take shape now, the new campaign, isn't it? That's the first fixture of match day 7. First international break out of the way, the transfer window closed. This is when it starts to settle down, and you generally tend to get an idea of who is likely to be where. Neither of these sides expected to be where they currently are in the bottom 4. Nakajima blocked off right in front of the referee by Danilo Bozak. Fairly blatantly from the Brazilian, who's playing outside of Brazil actually this year for the first time in his career since joining in January from Juventude. He's played every minute of Urawa's season since signing. A new regular partner, it would appear, for Marius Højbråten at the back. Go on to replicate the success that Højbråten has had since signing. It would be a successful move for all concerned. Shima's going to go back to Fukui on debut. He was previously actually in the youth ranks with Shonan Bellmare as a kid, was Koki Fukui. For those 8 years with Machida Zelvia. Just 2 appearances, 1 start in J1 for Machida last year after their promotion. He hasn't been overly extended on his Cerezo debut so far. That pattern has continued in the opening exchanges of this second half. And Nakajima was alert to that, winning it well. Here's Kitano! So close. Must have thought when it left his boot that he was about to double the lead. Good part of the ground, I think, actually thought this was in. Did really well here to open up the goal for himself. Just couldn't quite keep it on the target. Had he done so, I think the goalkeeper might just have got to it anyway. He has come the closest, most recently, so to Kitano. A couple of occasions already at the start of this second half. It's almost 10 minutes old now. Urawa on the attack though with Matsuo. Puts it back threateningly for Sekine to strike it. Now Gustafsson, he's missed his kick, which enables those in pink to clear it away, spares their blushes. The game's certainly getting stretched now. Matsuo's made a bit of a difference since he was brought on at the break. That's a good ball from him. Sekine was always going to take the shot on. It's Hatanaka. The target here acknowledges the attempt to locate him, but it was ultimately an unsuccessful one. So Tanaka patrolling in front of that back four. Defence that he often is part of himself. In a slightly more advanced role this season. Created some space here for Okuda to advance. Goal scorer in this fixture here last season, as was Lucas Fernandez. Okuda, all sorts of space for him to sling the cross in. And it was Mateus Savio getting back there to deal with it, as he needed to. Did have Rafael Ratao on the move in the middle as well. He was the target for the cross. Returning to the J1 starting lineup today. He's come off the bench in the previous 2 matches. Only his second senior season out of university. Lucas Fernandez will take the corner. It was flicked on by Nakajima. Chase on here for Tanaka, who's not quite going to reach that. Takehiro Sekine is able to clear it away. They've certainly created enough chances, Cerezo, to have scored their second by now. In fact, they haven't gone on to get that goal, could yet come back to cost them. come again in towards Rafael Leitão, didn't quite reach him. Lucas Fernandez trying to get on the end of it as well. Shibayama who provided the cross. Into a dangerous area once more. Service from out wide has been pretty impressive for Cerezo tonight. Lucas Fernandez will try and continue that trend with the corner, but that one is pretty comfortably cleared away. Didn't beat the first man, but it comes back the way of the Brazilian. Lucas Fernandez, now Tanaka, cutting it back in by Nakajima. Rafael Leitão just unable to reach that one. It's a little too heavy for him. Not quite as intended. Gustafsson's dropped deeper to pick up possession, and then was a little careless with it. Swede gets it back again. And his third straight start with his second season at the club, 13 times capped Swedish international. Joined for last year from Harken. He actually followed the previous coach, Per-Mattias Högmo, from the Swedish side to the J-League. Yasui. There's Matsuo. Support for Ogiwara. Ogiwara with the switch of play. If Kaneko can reach it, trying to cut it back just behind Thiago and away. So finely balanced, isn't it, though, as we reach the hour mark in Osaka. Gustafsson put plenty on that. Ogiwara still scrapping for it and does come away with it against Okuda. Gustafsson. That's Yasui. Matheus Savio. Plenty packing the penalty area here. Sekine finds himself outnumbered but still in possession. And support from Savio. Can't work this well in the end to provide the cross, but when it comes, it's pretty comfortably cleared by Tanaka. Rafael Leitão looking to lead the counter-attack. There was space for Kitano, but the ball has cleared him. And reach touch. Pass that needed to be a little more precise. Had it dropped into his path, they could have been in on goal again. Not too much between them in the opening 15 minutes of this second half. Sekine, lovely little touch for Kaneko. Wider here is Matsuo. Lucas Fernandez back defending. He did it with real diligence and discipline and wins the free kick. And the acclaim of his teammates for the part that he played in thwarting that latest attack. Helping out his fullback, Okuda. Getting the better of Matsuo. And getting in front of him to win the free kick as well. Plenty for the poll to ponder at this point. Not too much has changed in the second half for Scorz's side. And a really successful first season at the helm, of course, in leading them to victory in the Asian Champions League, albeit they'd already qualified for the final before he took charge, but he helped them over the line in that competition against Al Hilal. There was a card shown there as well, but Potentially for taking too long over this, maybe. It's Shindo that has gone into the book. Clearance was by Sekine. Shindo again. Okuda. Nicely worked in combination with Kitano. Much in the context of Cerezo's season if they were able to go on and get their first home win of the campaign today, their first league win since victory at Gamba on opening night. It's the first fixture, another Friday night fixture of the J1 season. Won a league game since then. They lost the next two against Shonan Bellmare and at Kashiwa Reysol. Drew at Albirex Niigata and here against Nagoya Grampus, and then lost at Yokohama last time out. So up to the early positivity that performance against their derby rivals produced has long since been lost. And win against the Reds would have them heading in the right direction again and take them up above Urawa and out of the bottom three. Still to go yet. Matheus Savio. A little fortunate that it came back his way, but still trying to make the most of it in towards Thiago. Ended up by Fukui. There's a key player, Matheus Savio, wasn't he, for Kashiwa Reysol, for making the move in the off-season. Bringing in a lot of J1 experience in terms of their transfer business. Players who know this league, and they hope can settle straight in, even though that hasn't necessarily been reflected yet by the results that they've had. They could be exposed here. Rafael Ratao. Balls from Kitano, helps it on for Lucas Fernandez. Forward by Fernandez first time. At which point enough in black had got back. This pass for Rafael Ratao needed to be a little bit better. Had that been in front of him, and he would have had greater options available, certainly. Keep the pressure on with Tanaka. Okuda. Lucas Fernandez. Okuda with the throw. Tanaka couldn't quite get a touch to it. It did reach Rafael Ratao. He didn't get too far with it. Now Thiago. Matheus Savio trying to stretch the home defence. Support is now arriving. Thiago just unable to get his shot away. Claiming there that he was fouled in the process, and that was the reason why he wasn't able to make the contact required, but the referee had a look at it, lets it go on. Sort of night for Thiago Santana so far. It's just been on the wrong end of the fine margins. And Cerezo have defended his threat well. It also mean much if they were able to hold on to the clean sheet today. For the first time this season, for the first time in what would be 9 league matches going back to last year. They have a quarter of the game to go to attempt to do so. Ogiwara. Matsuo. Mateus Savio. Being played in the Cerezo half at the moment, forward by Danilo Boza to Kaneko. Just left himself one too many to beat, did Takura Kaneko. Still looking for his first goal since his return to Japanese football. Well, he spent 6 seasons with Consadole. Now we're going to see changes from Marche Scorza. A couple of them at least by the looks of that. Tanabe is being readied, and he's not the only one. No surprise at this juncture with his team still trailing. Scorza is opting to mix things up shortly. Space here for Nakajima, plenty of it. And indeed for Shibayama. Nakajima again. Urawa have reorganised and got back in position again by now. Zato. There's Kitano. Shinosuke Hatanaka. Shindo. Lucas Fernandez. Cut out by Ogiwara. So I think the changes will happen here. Nakajima's going to come on, as well as Watanabe, with Mateus Savio and Samuel Gustafsson, the two to make way. Certainly put a shift in. Mateus Savio, he's been everywhere, really. Watanabe, you imagine, will take over his role. And Nakajima on for Gustafsson, different type of midfield player. It's only his second appearance of this season. The former Antalyaspor attacker who's been capped 19 times actually by Japan. Did come off the bench in the 2-1 defeat at Shonan Bellmare. It's the only previous time that we've seen in this season. He only started 7 times actually in the entirety of last year. 3rd campaign at the club now for Shoya Nakajima. So he and Watanabe on. Watanabe on the comeback trail, having missed the last 4 games. Injured in the 1-1 draw at Kiyoto Sangri, started the first 2 this season. The former FC Tokyo player. Benefiting from that international break to return to fitness. He's on for the last 20 minutes. Scored 6 goals last season, in which he wasn't ever present for the Reds. First involvement on the ball. Leaves it for Sekine. There's Høybråten. Nakajima. Believe that didn't prove more costly. Sekine. Kaneko. Kaito Yasui. Ogiwara to Matsuo and back again. Good spell of possession this for Urawa. Can they find that end product? No. It has certainly been elusive so far. Kaneko does have plenty to try and pick out in the penalty area. Still outnumbered by those in pink. As Lucas Fernandez tries to lead the counter-attack, is nicked away from him on halfway. Just 1 home win in 5 going back to last season for Cerezo Osaka. They haven't kept a clean sheet in any of the last 3 here at home, having shut out the opposition in 3 of the previous 4 at YODOKO Sakura Stadium. been defensively resilient so far tonight. And they will expect the pressure that defence is coming under to increase as the game heads towards its conclusion. Slip through for Nakajima here. Hit too far in front of Thiago in the middle. Chase on for Ogiwara to keep it in play, which he did well to reach. Høybråten. This is Sekine. Kaneko. Kaneko delivers the cross. Thiago Santana rising to meet it, but the whistle has gone. Almost at the same moment that he did meet it. Another decision goes against him. Kaneko did really well here. With a little shove on the back of the defender. That's why it's been disallowed. Which was spotted straight away. It barely hit the net. It looks the right call from that angle, doesn't it? I think he probably knew it. Another in comes Cerezo. Shibayama. Tanaka. He's going to take the shot on. Always wide of the target though from Shunta Tanaka. He does have a goal to his name already this season. And he scored in the opening 5-2 victory at Gampa. Not quite close enough to adding to his tally. Scored on his debut for the club actually last season as well against Tokyo in that 2-2 draw. He scored 4 times in a century of appearances for his previous club Consadole. The goal that they have got today from Rafael Ritao inside the opening 2 minutes is still the game's only goal, given how it started. Improbable, I guess, at this point, that you would have thought that. Remains to be seen whether it will be enough or not. It's a useful ball forward, and he's going to reach it first. Matsuo gets there ahead of the goalkeeper. Thiago calling for it in the middle, but cut out by Hatanaka. Still the threat, and flashed over. As Kaneko tried to pick up the pieces. But the chance here was for Yusuke Matsuo, and he did really well to reach that ahead of Fukui, but was just forced wide. Tried to in turn locate Thiago Santana in the middle and was unfortunate not to be able to do so. Kaneko took a couple of touches but wasn't able to trouble the target. Cut out by Lucas Fernandez. Wasn't a good ball. Can he make the most of it here? Shibayama sets himself. He too is just unable to find the finish. Did take a little nick on the way behind that one, I think, from Masaya Shibayama. That was poor from Høybråten. His clearance straight to Lucas Fernandez. He spotted Shibayama in that space far side, and it did just brush off the defender's boot, off Sekine and behind. Almost as soon as Shibayama struck it, comes the latest corner. Lucas Fernandez waiting to take this one. Just waiting for Ryosuke Shindo to make his way up from the back to add to the number of potential targets in the middle there. We'll need another go, will Lucas Fernandez? Similar outcome. No reward yet for the Reds on their travels. Trip of just over 500 kilometres southwest to Osaka for this one. Been a very fruitless trip for them as I mentioned, in recent years, and no sign yet of that trend being booked today. Lost the last 5 J-League visits to Cerezo Osaka. Lost 7 of the last 8 here in all competitions, including notably in that 2022 League Cup semi-final that the clubs contested, which Cerezo won 5-1 on aggregate. And this will come the way of Thiago. Helps it on first time for Matsuo. Support from Ogiwara as well. Matsuo himself delivers the cross. Well, turned back from beyond that far post and scrambled clear. Small margins again. The Cerezo lead is looking more and more fragile. Matsuo into a really dangerous area which the goalkeeper couldn't grab as it flashed in front of him. For Kui there. Grateful to get away with that one. Last dozen minutes of the 90. Forward by Nakajima. He has it back again. Yasui leaves it for Høybråten. Danila Boza. Kaneko. Infield here for Nakajima. Not quite for Watanabe. The Reds are having to take more risk now in pushing players forward, so this is going to be the danger for them. Lucas Fernandez just caught by Takuya Ogiwara, giving his side a little bit of respite. Goal scorer from the penalty spot last week in the Louvain J-League Cup, Lucas Fernandez. He'll probably settle for that. Clearly caught by Ogiwara. For Cerezo, changes are incoming. What's going to happen here? Shinji Kagawa being called for, and Vitor Bueno as well, who did start the League Cup game last week. Nakajima and Kitano are the two coming off as Arthur Papas just freshens things up in the closing exchanges, trying to help his team over the line here. Experience of Kagawa could be key in that respect. He's only made one appearance off the bench in the last 4 games, having started the first 2 this season. There's Vitor Bueno, the former Botafogo player, the Brazilian, who also scored last week in the J-League Cup. Has started just one J1 game this season. He's on for what remains as well. Shibayama on the ball, brought it down beautifully. Support from Naborazato. Couldn't force his way through, but that's not been dealt with. Lucas Fernandez. Looked wider here for Tanaka, who went for the cross rather than the shot. We've had chances, haven't we, at both ends of the field to add to the early goal that still separates them. Somehow it remains the only goal. Not been much between them since then, really. Okuda going back to Fukui. They can hold on to that clean sheet. It's still a big if at this juncture. Mentioned how much it would mean to Cerezo Osaka, but in particular to Koki Fukui on his debut for the club. He just slips away from Naborazato, took his eye off it for a moment. Changes keep coming. This will be Genki Haraguchi to come on in place of Kaneko. The vastly experienced former Hertha forward is on. Second season of his second spell, with Urawa having spent a decade in between in German football. At the age of 33. Very different type of player to Kaneko. Can he come up with the moment that they require to salvage something? Matsuo does reach it first and in towards the substitute. He couldn't get the touch, but the follow-up is in. And Urawa have their equalising goal thanks to Watanabe. 1-1. Well, it was almost an instant impact from Haraguchi. He was the target here for Matsuo. His presence proved important. That would have been his first touch, but it's another of the substitutes coming in just beyond him who has scored in Watanabe. Into an open goal, really, when it came his way. Thiago playing his part in the build-up. Matsuo did well. Haraguchi did get something on it just to help it the way of Ryoma Watanabe. And parity restored. Still no clean sheet for Cerezo this season, and maybe still no home win for them this season unless they can respond straight away now with Bueno's ball in. There's Tanaka. Cerezo, having scored early, have conceded late. So they don't have too much time to try and re-establish their advantage. But they appear intent on doing so. They've forced the corner here. They'll be so frustrated by the nature of the concession. But there had been warning signs for Papas's team. You could make a case that it had been coming. Corner kick to come for Cerezo Osaka, as they need to do this all over again. Lucas Fernandez will take it, and the delivery is too deep, really. Should it finish this way, Urawa, having been behind for so long in the game, would certainly be the more satisfied, but I think both teams will still feel they could go on and win it yet. Urawa were on the wrong end of a late concession in their last game, 1-0 up until the 90th minute away at the leaders Kashima Antlers. They had to settle for a point in that contest. This would be something of a role reversal should it finish like that. But Watanabe, who's got his goal, has also got the free kick here against Vita Bueno. First goal of the season for Ryoma Watanabe, who hadn't been on too long himself, and they advance again with Matsuo here, reaching it first, able to pick the pass in the middle for Nakajima, but his first touch was a little heavy. They certainly haven't given up on completing the turnaround. And winning away for the first time this season. It's already a fifth away game of the campaign for Urawa, who've played just twice in Saitama. 3 of the previous 4 on their travels have ended all square. Did well to get his foot to that first, but the referee hasn't stepped in. Despite the ongoing appeals of Vita Bueno, he certainly felt that he was fouled. Sekine, who's never confident really in playing that pass, and instead it is delivered in towards the penalty area where Høybråten cuts that one out. But it could come back yet. Sekine steps in rather more decisively this time. And away by Danilo Boza. Space for Thiago Santana. Brings Ogiwara into it. Tanabe, the goal scorer, going down. Matsuo played his part in the equalising goal, and that's a clever ball for Nakajima. Thiago trying to reach it, just unable to do so. Now, as we head for the last 90 seconds of the 90 minutes, it's maybe Urawa Reds looking the likelier winners. Gucci made an almost instant impact. He's now trying to play the pass for Thiago. Again, the clearance not convincing. Tanabe in the mood for more. They've got one goal already. Scored for the first time since the home draw with Kawasaki Frontale in November. Spell on the sidelines. Back to have a significant say today. You can certainly argue that Scorcher's changes have worked this evening. Matsuo's made a difference since he was called for at half-time. Nakajima has been busy. Haraguchi was involved straight away after coming on in the goal that was scored by another of these substitutes with Tanabe. Certainly all impacted the game. Cerezo waiting to make further changes. Satoki Uejo and Ryuya Nishio are waiting to come on, as we wait to find out how much additional time there will be. 4 minutes from here at the end of the 90. For either side, maybe, to turn 1 point into 3. Lucas Fernandez is dispossessed. Tanabe going back to his goalkeeper. Nishikawa will clear. He hasn't been overly busy, has he, Nishikawa, in this second half? Yusuke Matsuo. From Thiago. Nice touch and shot, and it was close. He was very close. Created that glimpse of goal for himself, Thiago Santana. That would have been some story in stoppage time. Onto it so sharply, and certainly had the goalkeeper worried. Did get the merest of touches to it, and might have needed to. Fukui, as the corner comes in towards Yasui. Back in it goes again, where Danilo Boza was the target. Good goalkeeping from Fukui. Denied that clean sheet on his debut after all, but that was an important save, I think, from Thiago. It's difficult to tell whether it might have just missed anyway. It didn't overly change the direction of the ball, but he couldn't take the chance. Okuda. Vita Bueno. And it's Cerezo's turn to threaten a winner. And a corner kick to come for them off Høybråten here. They'll make the changes first.
Yeah, I know, he's coming off.
Rafael Ratau is going to come off. So is Okuda. Nishio and Uejo have been waiting patiently for the last couple of minutes. Satoki Uejo making only his second appearance of the season. Nishio has been a regular starter recently. In fact, he played every minute of the last 4 games until today. Both thrown into the fray for this late corner for the last couple of minutes of added time. Rafael Ratau did not want to go off at that juncture. changes do happen here. Shibayama is going to take the corner this time. Into a really dangerous area again, but everybody packing the penalty area out as far as Lucas Fernandez. Returning it with intent. Shindo up from the back. Closest to making something of that. The last of the 4 additional minutes now. Clever ball for Shibayama. He does reach it first, just ahead of Hoibraten. He's gone across with him. But options here for Cerezo. Lucas Fernandez. Forward first time for Bueno, and back again. Fernandez trying to flick it forward for Nishio. Tanaka's in there without quite being able to reach it. That might have been Cerezo's last chance, thwarted by the referee's whistle in the end. Finally balanced for much of the game. You could argue, I guess, on the overall balance of play that a point apiece would be fair. Cerezo, having led for so long, would be the more frustrated. No time for one last attack for Urawa Reds here, albeit they've retreated into their own half, prioritising possession and perhaps the point. Now they will launch it long with Danilo Boza. Underneath it is Tanaka. Because of those substitutions in stoppage time, we played on a little longer, but that is that. And that is a point apiece today. Two sides struggling at the wrong end of the table, neither able to get the victory that they required this evening. Arthur Pappas' team led for the vast majority of the match. They were in front inside 2 minutes, and it's a lead that they held until 7 minutes from the end, when Ryoma Watanabe has rescued something for the Reds and ensure that Maciej Skorcha's team do remain above Cerezo in the standings and do reap some reward for the display that they turned in tonight to come back and claim a point when it looked like they were beginning to run out of time. Both teams had further chances in front of goal. Both had some nervy moments tonight as well. And you could argue perhaps that honours ending even is a fair enough reflection of the contest. Full time, Cerezo Osaka 1, Urawa Reds 1. Won't satisfy either of them fully, given the respective positions that they came into the game in. Separated by just 1 place and 1 point in the standings, 2 of the bottom 4. Both with much bigger ambitions, both hoping to kickstart their campaign tonight. Cerezo couldn't have got off to a much better start, could they, in front inside 2 minutes, thanks to Rafael Ratao's goal, made by Thiago Andrade. He went off through injury, though not long later. In that first half, that was a setback, although Shibayama stepped into his position impressively. But they couldn't score the second. Still no clean sheet for Cerezo. It was always likely to come back and cost them perhaps at some point. And that Urawa equalizer, scored by the substitute Ryoma Watanabe, not long since after he came on, with 7 minutes of the 90 remaining at that stage, ensures that Cerezo are still to win here at home this season. And although Urawa remain without a victory on their travels, it's another hard-earned point to add to the one that they picked up at the leaders Kashima Antlers in their previous game, the other side of the international break. It does extend their unbeaten run to 3 matches as they look to bounce back from those successive defeats that they suffered early in the season. Not definitive proof yet that they're heading in the right direction, but some resilience certainly shown by the Reds today to earn some reward. That's another positive that the Polish coach Maciej Skorcha will take, even if it's only a small step in the right
70分に入っ
direction.
て83分に同点ゴール、復帰戦で大仕事をやってのけましたね。
まあ立て続けに持っていければよかったですけど、もう少し課題が残る試合だったかなと思います。
スタートからこうベンチでピッチ上を眺めていて、90分、やっぱりちょっと課題感が残る1試合だったですか？
なかなか前からのプレースがはまらなかったっていうのもあったし、攻撃の糸口っていうのがなかな